When I found there was to be a moot of the Society of Lay Hunters in Kilpeck, near Hereford, in 2022, I looked to see if there is a lay through the church, and found there is a quite interesting one. This links the site of the Priory with the magnificently carved church, which then goes on to skirt the nearby Norman Motte, before coming to the church of St. Brushus at St. Devera, and on to a crossroads at the Stone Street Roman Road. It then goes on to the ancient church at Monington-on-Wye. But when I checked in the old straight track, I found that Alfred Watkins had already found this lay, although he didn't mention the other points, just indicating that it skirted the Motte, in a section on the orientation of churches with castles. He would certainly have known about the other points, though. The crossroads was also found to be the centre of 3 lays, one of which is coincident with the Roman Road Stone Street for about 2 miles, and some interesting points were found when following it on Google Maps Street View. The Benedictine Priory at Kilpeck was founded in 1134 and dissolved in 1428 when the cell was united to Gloucester. There are no traces of any earthworks today, but the lay is coincident with the road there. Kilpeck Church is famous for its many carvings, particularly round the south door. The YouTube video on the church tells us that above it there is a representation of a horse with a Templar cross. James Bailey, who narrated this video, also shows what seems to be a Templar headstone under a carpet. On the right-hand side there are several snakes with the tail of one in the mouth of another, known as Ouroboros, a symbol of cosmic harmony, eternity, and the cycle of life and death. It occurs in Egyptian, Norse, and Gnostic Christian traditions. The mathematical symbol for infinity, which is like a figure 8 on its side, originated with this. One of the corbels above has the Ouroboros in the form of a Celtic knot. There is a green man on top of the column above the snakes. There are many other carvings, the most famous one being the Sheila na gig on the outside of the apse. These very revealing female figures are found in many churches, and there is an article about them by Candy Bedworth in the church website. Another article on the site is by Dowser Clive Essery, who has detected that there was an earlier church orientated north-south, and that the current church dates from about 1045. The church website and the video can be found at kilpeckchurch.org.uk. Kilpeck Castle, immediately west of the church, consists of a motte and bailey and various outworks. The motte is roughly circular, with a diameter of 54 yards at the base. The lay grazes the motte on the western side, as Alfred Watkins' illustrations also shows. Quite a few Norman mottes could well be more ancient mounds, and it would be sensible to use any that were in a strategically right position to raise defences more quickly. It is surmounted by the remains of a polygonal keep of masonry, of which 2 large fragments remain, towards the north and the northwest. The keep is probably of the 12th century, and was polygonal inside and outside. The lay next goes to the church of St. Brushus at St. Devera, about half a mile away. It may have been built in the 12th century, although the nave is 13th century and the chancel and tower are 14th century. The font is believed to be mid-12th century. The circular mound on which the church stands indicates a very early religious site, possibly prehistoric. The next point is a staggered crossroads at Coldwell. Although it has the Cold name, which is one of Alfred Watkins Ley place name elements, there doesn't seem to be a well here, and nothing about it can be found on the web or in the old straight track. On then to the crossroads with Stone Street, looking along the north-east running Roman Road. This lay meets 2 others here, one of which runs along the Roman Road. There seemed to be some kind of banking on the left-hand side as we enter Stone Street, which could be a mound, but it's not marked on the map. The lay continues north-east to St Mary's Church, Monington-on-Wye. The tower is medieval, but the rest of the church is of 1679. The church has no gas, electricity or running water, and is accessible only on foot along a woodland path by a brook. Going back to the early 15th century, there is a persistent claim that Owen Glendower, Prince of Wales and fierce opponent of Henry IV and V, was buried here. Returning to Stone Street, the straight Roman road stretch that's coincident with the Ley, beginning at a road off a B road near Coldwell. It's a very minor road. Most of this type are not scanned by Google Maps, Street View, but possibly this one is, because it's a historic monument, a Roman road. It continues dead straight until it reaches the crossroads at Great Brampton, which is the Ley centre. There's some earthworking here which could possibly be a mound. Street View is an amazing technology. Most major roads in the country have been scanned by it and can be explored. But in addition to travelling along them, each step along the way can be examined in a full 360-degree circle, and each point on each circle can be elevated to the sky. At each point on each circle can be zoomed to magnify the picture. That makes billions of locations all over the country. The technology began with the Doomsday Project in the 1980s, produced on an analogue video disc accessed by a BBC microcomputer. But only this only covered a very small area. From here the Roman Road runs straight to another crossroads called Woodyat's Cross, but again there is no explanation of this name on the web. Again there seems to be some kind of earthworking opposite the Comet Inn. The road then runs on to Worm Hill, where there seems to be even larger earthworking. The land is mostly flat here, so this is the only thing here that could be called a hill. The road bends away from the Ley here, but this will be another straight stretch which could be on another Ley coming up from a Mott and Bailey at Ewias Harold. At a point where the road makes a sharp bend to the right, there is a coniferous clump. As a Roman road, it then follows the course of a hedge across a field, and then a Roman road course of. The line of it seems to continue to a point where it seems to meet its continuation near Credden Hill, but then this then bends to the right. It has been noticed in Surrey and other places that Roman Road straight stretches often each have their own ley, and this suggests that the Romans may have had some knowledge of the system and used it. The ley is not a spectacular one on the map, but goes through a number of cross tracks and a house called Wheelbarrow Castle at Stoke Prior, a holiday let now but described as Wheelbarrow Castle's origins are lost in the mists of time, though we do know that some parts of it date back at least to the 16th century. Like most houses of its age, it has been added to and expanded over the centuries. The ley the original stretch of Stone Street follows continues to touch the east end of Bodenham Church, St Michael and All Angels at Bottenham. It's set in a beautiful location beside the peaceful River Lugg. The church is mainly a 14th century building with striking recessed octagonal spire. The next point on the ley is Westington Camp, Grendon Bishop, a small hill fort of about an acre. Neolithic flints and axe heads have been found here. It then skirts the edge of Garmsley Camp. This monument includes a large univalate hill fort located on a prominent hill between Perry Brook and Hyde Brook. It's also known as the Wraiths, and Roman bricks inscribed with the Roman numeral 5 have been found on the site. Finally, the ley reaches a place called the Grove on Bank Street. A third ley through the Stone Street crossroads goes from there to the Gorsty Common Primitive Methodist Chapel, possibly subconsciously sited, then runs along a coincident stretch of track to the summit of Perry Hill. It then reaches St Nicholas Church in Hereford. It's an early Victorian building on the site of an ancient Saxon church. The origins are unknown. It may have existed before the Norman conquest of 1066. The original font was brought here from the old church. It was rebuilt from the ground up in 1842. Alfred Watkins mentions that Hereford Cathedral is oriented to it. From here it goes to Homestead Moat at Lugwardine. And finally to Stretton Grandison Church, which is on the first ley to be found by Alfred Watkins. See the video The First Ley on this channel.